Good day, YouTube. Today's topic is how does having a military family affect children when it's a long-term career and moving and the lifestyle? How does that affect children? I have two children that we raised. My son was 7 years old when I joined the Air Force. Let's just say from the ages of 11 to the bottom, it's a lot easier in the sense that you tell them, hey, we're moving. And they're like, okay, they just go with it. Yes, they have friends that they'll have to say goodbye, but it's a little bit easier. When you have children from the ages of 12 to 18, they still move with you, but they've built stronger relationships. And it does happen. We left Hawaii, and our son had his first girlfriend. He was 16, and she went to say goodbye to us at the airport with her mom, and everybody was crying. It's just, part of the lifestyle. So my recommendation is always communicate with your children on the lifestyle that you may have as a military family, saying, hey, we're going to be here for 3-4 years or so, and then we're going to have to go somewhere else. So that constant communication is very important so they can adapt, so they know it's coming down the road when that happens. Now, I think every child is going to be different. Some of them, they're like, hey, it's part of the lifestyle, let's go somewhere else. And some of them are going to be like very sad, but that's where that communication is very important. So let's talk about the schools. Let's say you are stationed overseas, and I was stationed only in Hawaii. That's stateside, however, it's considered an overseas assignment. The Department of Defense schools, you hear that aircraft outside? DoD schools, let's say in Europe or Asia. I don't have actual experience with them, but I've heard nothing but positive things. So the teachers are good, the programs are good, it's involved. I've heard a lot of good things about that. My only experience is when I was in Hungary for a temporary duty out there, it was such a small base that they didn't have English speaking teachers or programs. Everything was in Hungarian. That's one example, and not common either, where it's going to be a challenge. So you may, as a parent, have to maybe put your child in a program online, or if you can do the homeschool, that's an option. But that's not common. Most assignments overseas have schools and programs in English for your children. Now, let's say you are at a military installation overseas or stateside. There are many programs on base and off base for your family members, especially your children, whether it's Childcare, the CDC Child Development Center, CDC, or the Youth Center for before and after school programs. Those programs are there because in the military, you may work long hours or sometimes you have to stay longer. So those programs are there. And I think the max time that a child can be in one of these programs is 10 hours. You can probably get a waiver, but that doesn't happen often. So another thing is when you have a family, you have to have a family care plan, which means if you have to deploy as a parent or let's say it's dual military, both husband and wife, there has to be a program set in place that you identify who's going to take care of your children if you have to deploy or your spouse has to deploy. So anytime you have either a single parent or dual military, you have to have a family care plan. I never had a family care plan because I was married to a civilian, my wife, and that was our plan. She would take care of the children. If I had to deploy, go TDY, work extra. So one of the things that I want to talk about next is when you get to go overseas and take your children with you, that is an opportunity for your child or children to see the culture, see a different culture, a different language. That is good. My daughter a few years ago was saying that she was reading a book on history on a country and how she had been there before. We weren't stationed there, but we had been there before. Or a lot of history books, she's reading about stuff that her best friend, who actually is her roommate right now in college, had already seen because they were stationed in Europe, and every so often they would go and take trips. So the children are definitely exposed to a lot of things when they're overseas, and that is a great opportunity that sometimes children here in the States don't have access to. Now, communication. I talked about that already. That's the thing. That is the key. And your children are going to grow up. If that communication is great, you should be smooth. You should be good to go, regardless if they are a civilian family or if you have a military family, because that communication is key. I've seen a lot of families, majority of my friends have children, and they actually live that military lifestyle, and the children are fine. So my advice is definitely communicate with your children, even if you're not in the military and you just have a close-knit family. That communication is going to be good. Whatever you talk about, because life is full of celebrations and life is also full of challenges as well. So that's a very short topic on how a family, a military family, may be affected, or their children may be affected, but it's a good lifestyle. Overall, I did it for 10 years active duty. The rest was reserve, and we had that stability where both of my children graduated from the same school and went right back to their friends when we came back to Colorado. Hopefully it's been helpful. Communication is the key. Have a great day.